Hi everyone. It's 10:05. I think we start our session. So good morning everyone. My name is Chewen Kamba. I'm the Youth Hub Coordinator at Koparo Zambia. So I'm the guy who's responsible when it comes to uh, youth development skills and just when it comes to the youth hub. So basically, what we're having today is a session on career talk, or maybe let's say career development, where we've thought of coming up with an initiative of empowering our youths and young people with skills that will enhance their career. And today we're going to have a very nice topic that is very close to my heart, because for me, I think I never saw, maybe I never had an opportunity, or maybe I never took it serious. But I think that's one of the reasons why maybe I delayed to get a job, because I never had an opportunity to become a volunteer. And I've seen how it has really helped a lot of people to get jobs just because they were volunteers at a certain point in their life. So we've come up with this. We've been having different topics that we've been doing. Mostly, we've been having them in person. So we've done CV sessions on how to write a CV. We've also done sessions on how to write good cover letters, and those were in-person sessions. And that was before COVID became worse. So today we decided to just go live on Facebook, so that because of COVID, so we decided to just have a virtual meeting so that we can also maybe catch a very bigger crop of people and be able to empower them with this skill. So at this moment, I would like now to hand over to Michelle, who's going to take you through this process and be able to educate you more about how to become a volunteer, and also she'll be able to highlight on how maybe you can be able to join corporals and become one of our volunteers. And what I'd like to say is that feel free and be able to ask questions where you're not clear, and also make use of the chat box when you are having any difficulties. Make use of the chat box so that we can be able to see how we can be able to help you. Having said that, I'd like you to thank you, and please feel free to be part of this meeting. Michelle, I hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Chewe. Let me just mute one of these. Okay, I hope everyone is able to get me, and I hope the feedback has stopped. Just give me a thumbs up if we're okay. All right, perfect. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Michelle Malunga, and I'm the Advocacy and Communications Officer here at Kopero Zambia. So today's topic is something that is very close to my heart. I have wanted to, have this opportunity to speak about volunteerism and some of its benefits, because it's something that has been very beneficial for me as an individual, and I think to those that are around me, the people that are around me. So when we talk about volunteerism, before I get into my specific definition of volunteerism, is there any volunteer who would like to just run us through? What are your thoughts on volunteerism? What do you think volunteerism is? Anybody? Shall I think help me with any raised hands or any comments? Any takers?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I think it's rendering your service for free. I would say that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Is that Miriam?
Yes, Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you so much. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So volunteerism or volunteering, just as Miriam has said, is the use or the involvement of volunteer labor. So if I say, for example, I want to volunteer my time to a particular cause or a particular organization or a particular institution, um, it works in a way where you do not expect any monetary gain from that particular experience. So when you volunteer yourself, you volunteer your time, you volunteer your skills. That's what volunteerism is. So it's an act of an individual, or it could be a group as well, who freely give their time to community service, to a particular cause, to a particular project, and do not expect to get any monetary value in return. So volunteerism works in many ways. One of the common ways that it works is sometimes people put up posts or adverts where they ask for people to volunteer. So it could be on a particular project, like I said, or for a particular cause. But in other instances, we have situations where you as an individual feel you have a lot to offer to a particular cause or a particular project, and you give yourself freely to that particular cause. So you can either approach the people running that particular project, or the people that are running the organization, or the people in charge of that particular cause that you want to volunteer your time for. And you tell them, these are the skills that I have, or this is what I intend to get from this voluntary work. I just want to join this particular movement or this particular organization and gain experience as an individual, because this is something that I feel I relate to. Maybe it speaks to your values as an individual, or it speaks to something that you're very passionate about. Yes. So with voluntary work, I know a lot of us young people get to find opportunities where you're able to volunteer. And at that particular point, sometimes we feel this work is not for me because it's free. And they're not offering me any money whatsoever. They're not giving me a salary. They're not giving me an allowance. And so sometimes as an individual, we do not feel like we're motivated enough to do voluntary work. And that is why every time you are applying for something that is voluntary, people will ask you, why do you want to apply for this particular work? Or why do you want to apply for this particular cause? What makes you want to do this kind of work? And the reason they ask you these questions is because they want to know what your motivation is as an individual. So if you are looking for something that is going to pay you, obviously you're not going to apply for something voluntary. But if I give myself and say, I want to apply for this voluntary work, and then a week later, I'm asking the person who is my supervisor or the person in charge of the project, you're not giving me any money for this, you're not giving me transport, you're not, but you apply and you said you wanted to become a volunteer. And so these are things that we need to understand before we give ourselves the mandate to apply for certain things. We need to understand that if you are going to be a volunteer, voluntary work entails that it is voluntary by nature of the word itself, volunteer, right? So you are giving yourself with zero expectations. But when it comes to voluntary work, speaking from a very personal perspective, you go in with zero expectations, right? You give yourself and you give your time, you give your skill, whatever skill you have, and you tell yourself, I want to give back to the community. It could be the community that you live in, it could be the community that you serve in, it could be a church, it could be a particular community project that is running where you're staying, right? So we go in with zero expectations, but some of the things that we get out of this volunteer experience is mind-blowing. And I'm not saying this because I want you to be volunteers and to work for free, but I'm saying this because I am someone who has literally gone through the volunteer experience. For me personally, I started volunteering at the age of 15, and I have volunteered ever since. And I know people are thinking, oh, now you're working, you have a full-time job. Yes, I have a full-time job, but I still volunteer. And by volunteer, again, here we're saying giving my time, giving my skill, giving whatever form of resources that I have to something that I'm passionate about. So if I am a member or a member of a group, right, where we decide that we're going to fundraise for an orphanage, and within ourselves we say, guys, okay, those who are able to donate whatever amount of money that you're able to donate, let's go ahead and donate. Those who have clothes that they feel they do not need anymore, or you just have so many clothes in your closet and you feel like you just need to let go of some of them, let's donate, let's do this. All of that is part of your volunteer experience. You are giving yourself freely with zero expectations. So before I go into the benefits of volunteerism, is there anyone that wants to share their volunteer experience, what it was like for them, and what they feel they gained out of that experience? Anybody, any takers? Please feel free to unmute yourself because I might not be able to see your hand. Anyone? Anyone with experience as a volunteer, or anyone who's ever volunteered for a particular cause or a particular organization or institution? Anyone that would like to share?
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just trying to turn on my video. Okay. Yeah, so I've volunteered before, and not just on one occasion, but quite a number of times. Yeah, right. So for me, how I began my volunteering journey was from secondary school. So there was this lady who came in from UNICEF, and I was just like a small girl with no idea about what volunteering is all about. So she told me, we have this program under UNICEF. Would you be interested? I was excited because I didn't know what it was all about, but I was just like excited because I just wanted to be part of this group of young people. That's how I joined the group. It was called Girls Connect something. I'm not so sure, I've forgotten the name. Yeah, so I joined the group. It was about giving back to the community. It was about climate change and all that. And I had no idea about climate change. So we got trained, we learned about climate change and how we started going into various schools, sharing information about climate change. Since then, like I got interested into volunteering. From there, I learned of restless development and how somebody can become a volunteer through my teacher. So I got the application because what Restless usually does is they give out application forms for volunteers in the schools. So I got the form, I filled it in, then I was selected for interviews. Then I was also trained. That's how I became a volunteer, and I was placed in one of the rural areas in Zambia. And that's how my life has been revolving. And from volunteering, I got opportunities to even travel abroad, something that is not even related to my work. So through volunteering, you learn, you get to learn different things. You get to travel. There are those soft skills that can never be taught in a classroom, you know. So volunteering really is life-changing. It has changed my life. It has changed how I view the world, how other countries have developed, and how we can bring that development back to Zambia. So this is how my volunteering journey has really shaped me, even into my current role with what I'm doing with Coparos. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mbeko, for sharing. I was smiling because, okay, before I proceed, Namwinga Chintu, you have your hand raised. Please unmute.
Hello, Michelle. Hi. My internet is unstable, so I will stay off off the I will stay off the video. Apologies, I joined a little bit late. So my name is Dr. Namwinga Chintu, and I joined this call because I totally I'm a 100% supporter of volunteerism. Firstly, I mean, it's self-satisfying. But the thing about volunteerism is that it actually, when you really think about it, you actually get more than you give eventually. As Michelle said, it can lead to opening many doors and can also lead to experiences that you will never get in class. My career actually started through volunteerism, the career that I'm doing now. So I'm a medical doctor, I'm a pediatrician. I used to be the country representative at Population Services International, and I was the Deputy Executive Director at Center for Infectious Disease Research in Zambia. If I hadn't volunteered, my career would not have changed paths. So I volunteered to be a research, actually I volunteered to sit and take notes at a big research meeting, and I hadn't done research before, so I volunteered to take notes. And I was sitting at the back of the room taking notes, and this was like a 5-day meeting. And every single day of that meeting, I learned something new. At the end of the 5-day meeting, I was chairing that meeting, which was interesting because the people who were sitting on that table were open to the idea of teaching, and it was a learning environment. We were learning, from each other. After that, I actually became the consultant on that project, which was a mother-to-child transmission of HIV project. And I did my first consultancy and earned my first earnings in foreign currency, but it opened so many doors. So even in my career, as I've led large institutions, I've always made sure that there's an aspect of volunteerism in the programs that I run. Even though we were not able to pay, but to give young individuals the opportunity to work in large organizations. But it takes you to have the mentality of saying that, it may be that I'm not getting paid right now, but if you have a long-term view, you will find that the skills that you've learned through volunteerism are priceless. And like Michelle said, can take you beyond what you're doing. So I found your topic very interesting, and I said I would take some time to be a part of your session. And kudos to you and Copper Rose for putting this together.
Thank you so much, Dr. Namwinga. That is really, really inspiring. I actually relate to some of the things that you just said, because like for me, I think personally, it sort of like helped me grow as an individual, but it also helped me just enhance my knowledge base, as well as just gain this sense of responsibility, for even just like my own community, because like it gives you this pride and this joy that makes you want to do more. And I think amongst some of the benefits that volunteering and campuses, apart from just, all these nice things that we've talked about, I think even just like gaining confidence, for me, it was such a confidence booster. Volunteering helped me to just like try something new, try something different, to build on that sense of achievement, and just to have that sense of belonging, and just feeling like I'm so proud that I'm making a difference. And the learning itself was very very impactful. I think like Mambepa was saying earlier as well, for me, when I started volunteering, I was quite young, and I started out in sort of like a media sector when it came to volunteering. And that sort of saw me join a radio station at a very, very early age. And it sort of like just helped me open doors that I didn't imagine were even there. And, you'd have so many people ask you, because at the time I started working, my first part-time job, um, I was actually studying as a first year student at the university. And people would ask, like, how do you go for these conferences? How do you go for all these opportunities? And I would always laugh, because I'm like, look, when you see people advertising to say, we're looking for young people to come for a meeting, it's absolutely voluntary. We're going to just, probably provide some refreshments for the meeting and nothing else. No one ever pays attention to things like that. And you're thinking to yourself, why should I go to just have a drink or a biscuit or, some potato chips or whatever it is that they're offering? And then you stay back. But the network that you're going to find in some of these gatherings and these convenings and these meetings will take you to places. You're going to meet people who will change your lives. You're going to make friendships that are going to be amazing, friendships that will open doors for you, friendships that will encourage you to do more and to give back, friendships that will help you grow. And for me, I felt that was the most important aspect of volunteering, because in as much as I looked forward to some of these meetings, sometimes you'd be randomly sitting in a meeting that you've been attending for, like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And then someone just randomly asks you, do you have a passport? Oh, yes, I do. I have a passport. Okay, fine. There's a youth conference happening in India and we're looking for young people. So, if you have your passport ready, you're going. And so people don't understand. People think that you find yourself at the UN speaking at a youth conference or speaking at a COP meeting, and it's just like you're privileged, for lack of a better term. And you're not, because you saw the opportunity to give your time to something that you didn't even imagine would grow, right? And then all of a sudden, you're finding yourself in situations where you're being called upon, because maybe, like Doc said, you volunteered to take minutes at a particular meeting, and someone noticed, that, oh, there's this young person who is always available, who is always ready, and, giving their time. So the next time they have a meeting and they're looking for young people, they're looking for rapporteurs or anyone to just help them arrange the conference, you're the first person they're going to think about, because you were that one unique person that raised your hand when they said, we're looking for a volunteer to take down minutes. We're looking for a volunteer to help us just, take people to their seats for this meeting. And you are that one person that said, I will look beyond everything else and I will give my time. So that's what volunteering does. I think it also just with the skills that come with volunteering, you learn so many new skills, you take on new challenges. Sometimes you get into a field that you didn't even prepare for. When I joined the media industry, I did not have any journalism or public relations qualification, but I volunteered for a cause and I was picked. After you're picked, you're trained. And so sometimes we need to look at the bigger picture. I think that's, in a nutshell, that's what I'm trying to say. You need to look at the bigger picture. It looks like it's a really small opportunity today, but what it would do for you tomorrow is amazing. Do we have anyone else who would like to share their experiences? Do we have anything in the chat? Let me just quickly check that so
Michelle,
that I
there's
can
a
read.
hand from Dr. Chintu.
Yes, Dr. Chintu.
Yes, I just wanted to add to what you have said,
Yeah.
that when you're looking at career progress, and you have all these CVs that are coming in, and some
Yeah.
people might be wondering to say, hey, look, you know what? I was the cream of the cream in the group, but how come I'm not being picked?
Yeah.
What, people like me and others who are looking at bringing in new people are looking for is, what is that X factor? What have you done differently that makes you shine from, amongst the group? And part of that is volunteerism. You put it in your CV, and so don't underestimate the value of being a volunteer and what experience that can bring back for you. So even at the stage I am at in my career, I'm still volunteering because I like it. It does good for others, but the flip side of all of it is that it still brings back to you and it enhances your experience and your CV. Apologies, I didn't mean to hijack, but this is just such a topic that I'm so interested in, that I feel like I should contribute wherever I can. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chintu. And no, we appreciate the hijacking. We're learning so much. I'm seeing in the chat, a lot of people are inspired. There was one comment here that is talking about how volunteering can actually help you discover your passion, and I totally agree. Again, back to my personal experience, when I started, I felt, oh, okay, this is something that I can do for fun. But then it turned out that that volunteer experience helped me gain skills and knowledge in radio and television that then later helped me get an actual job in the industry. And it didn't require for me to get a journalism degree or a mass communication degree. It took that particular passion that got me a step further to a small training. It was merely a week training, and at that particular point, I didn't even understand how powerful that training was going to be and how that training was going to shape my life. Another experience I wanted to talk about was, like how people are referring to just, one opportunity sort of taking you to another opportunity and, a step further to where you want to be. I also volunteered with the Young African Leaders Initiative, YALI. I'm sure a lot of us here have heard about the YALI program and how the US Embassy have worked tirelessly to sort of like get young people onto this program. When I first learned about the program, they would literally come to the radio station I was working for at the time, and they would always encourage us to come for the Women Wednesdays and all these little events that they would have at the embassy. And I remember one time a journalist said to me, because I told her, there's this particular activity that's happening at the embassy. Would you like to go with me? And she just said, no, the American embassy, they don't give transport refunds. They don't allow you to take selfies or pictures. They don't allow you to do anything. And so you could literally see that she was so discouraged to go for anything that involved the US embassy because of some of the restrictions that they had put for their own safety and for their own operational benefits. But I would go every time I received an invite. I would always go. And one time, I remember I was so consistent. I went for like 3 or 4 different meetings, and an opportunity came up where they wanted people who were in the media industry, who were working around voter education, to travel to Ghana for the Yali Tech Camp. And for me, this didn't even require me to apply. It just took the embassy to sort of suggest or appoint, or literally it was a nomination. It had nothing to do with any application of any sort. And these are some of the things that come up because people see that you're consistent. They see every time you log in, you're visiting their resource library or their resource center, and they see that this name is a consistent name. So they called me up and they said, Michelle, would you be interested to go to Ghana for this particular event? And I said, why not? I'm always ready. I stay ready. Guys, you need to be ready. And when I say ready, I mean passport ready, vaccination ready, like everything ready. There's a saying that opportunity is when luck meets preparation. I hope I said it right. But yeah, so sometimes opportunities are there, and as individuals, we're never ready. If I'm to tell you, I need you to travel to Korea tomorrow, you will tell me, no, I don't have a passport. No, I need to, I'll sort of do something that will be fast and all those other things. So you need to be ready. You need to stay ready at all times. Read as much as possible. If you're attending an event and it's a convening where there's so many other people, you already know what they're discussing, you know the topic, you know the thematic areas that are going to be covered. Read up on some of these things. Get to that meeting prepared so that you have conversations that are going to be meaningful. Don't be in a room and feel like I don't fit in, because you do fit in. You're just not ready. You are not preparing yourself for some of these opportunities. You're not preparing yourself for some of these positions. You want to play small. And I don't believe in playing small. I'm one person who believes in playing big. Let me be as big as I should be. And let me fail if I have to fail. It's all part of the process. I will fall down, get up, pick myself up, and learn. It's a whole process. But where you want to play small and say, already you are telling yourself, this is not for you. But why isn't it for you? Is it written somewhere that this is only an opportunity that should be for Chewe, or this is an opportunity that should be for Michelle? It's not written anywhere. It's not cast in stone. Why are you downplaying yourself? Why are you looking down upon yourself and telling yourself that you can't do this and this is not for you? You can literally be anything you want to be. Hard work, perseverance, you have to put in that work. It doesn't just come on a silver plate and one day you're off to the United States or to the United Kingdom. It doesn't work that way. You have to put in the work. You have to position yourself in such a way that you are ready and people understand that this person is ready. Even when we call upon her, she will be able to speak the type of language that we want her to speak because you have positioned yourself. I'm seeing some comments. Choe, are you able to help me with the comments quickly?
Yes. So there's some questions in the chat that people want clarity on. Like, for instance, one that's coming from Karen Chipita. She says, how do people find volunteering opportunities? Because to be honest, I have always wanted to be a volunteer, but I've just never found the opportunities. So these are some of the questions that are coming from a lot of people. And another one which is similar is saying, do NGOs really advertise volunteers? Because I do not tend to see these opportunities. And these are real questions that really a lot of people would like to know. Because even me, I was once in such a situation where do these people who are volunteers get to find these opportunities? So maybe if you could just clarify on that, so that a lot of people can be aware on how they can learn these volunteer opportunities.
All right, thank you so much, Joey. And thank you all for the questions and the contributions. We really appreciate. I'm happy that the question came up, because just the other day we were talking about how, people will ask you. I remember I got a call once because Copperos advertised for a position, and someone called me up and said, is this opportunity real? Like, is it real, or are you guys just advertising because, you just want to advertise? And I laughed because I said, look, we live in a world, unfortunately, yes, not everything is always going to be as straightforward as we want it to be, and not everything will be as real as we want it to be. There's so many opportunities out there, guys. Never be discouraged. There's so many authentic opportunities out there, so many authentic jobs. When it comes to volunteering, I cannot speak for other organizations, but I can speak for Copperos, right? So with us here at Copperos, we do advertise. We do advertise for volunteers. If you follow our social media platforms, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram, you will see that we have a couple of opportunities that come up. Some of them might be attached to a project, and some of them are just ordinary work-related activities. But we do advertise. The thing with volunteering is it's not, the opportunities might not be as consistent or as frequent as we might want them to be. However, sometimes when you volunteer, remember I said, for me, like, I have been volunteering from the time I was 15. There are organizations that I still volunteer for from the time I started. And so again, you see the consistency. When you become a volunteer for a particular organization, in this particular scenario, let me speak to Copperos. So when you become a volunteer for Copperos, you are added to our database, right? So every time we have opportunities, even before we push some of these opportunities to the rest of the world, we first of all start with our volunteers, right? And so sometimes you think, no, but then they only get the same people. It's not that they get, it's not that we get the same people or that organizations get the same people. You have a particular database that you're working with, right? And so these are people that you already have. They are people that are already existing. And that is why we're always encouraging people to always be on the lookout, follow our pages, look out for some of these opportunities, because sometimes even just from as simple as attending this particular session, right? We are getting your details and you are going to be on our database as well. So every other time that we have a newsletter that we need to share, an opportunity that we need to share, we'll always share to the contacts that we already have. If we do not have your contact, it's very difficult for me to just wake up and say, okay, guys, now I'm sharing this information with Mwape and with Kunda and with Grace and whoever it is that I'm sharing it with. There's always a basis, right? So with us here at Copperos, I know a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions about how they can become a volunteer. We have not had an advert run for any voluntary work recently, but I will encourage you to keep checking our page, because we have plenty of activities that are lined up, and even just opportunities for trainings. It's unfortunate right now we cannot have physical trainings, but we have a lot of those in store for you guys. And it could be just little things that we think might not even be necessary as individuals, but they're things that will help us, you know. It could be a session, for example, on something, for example, on public speaking. And you'd be thinking to yourself, why do I need to be a public speaker? I don't even think I'll ever use it in my line of work. But in every line of work that you are going to be in, you will find yourself speaking to people. You will need to have people skills. You will need to be able to communicate effectively and efficiently. And so some of these sessions are things that we shouldn't overlook, right? Different organizations have different mechanisms. Other organizations will tell you we recruit volunteers once every year, and that's their system. So when they put out that call once in a year, that's it. Until the following year, they will not recruit any more volunteers. Other organizations recruit twice in a year. After that, they will not recruit. And then you have organizations like ourselves who will recruit sometimes based on, like I said, based on a particular project or a particular activity. So sometimes we'll put out calls where we are looking for gender equality champions, or we are looking for peer volunteers or peer educators. You know, so there are always different opportunities in which you can actually volunteer. When it comes to the comment or the question that spoke to where we find these opportunities. So like I said, if you have a particular passion, if you're interested, for example, in sexual and reproductive health, obviously you know that you're going to follow the Copper Rose social media platforms. If you're interested in climate change, you will find an organization or organizations that speak to that particular theme or thematic area that you're interested in. And you need to constantly follow them, right? So the thing with opportunities, like I said, you need to be ready. You have to constantly check some of these things. Websites, so if you guys are going to fill in, I think there should be a form that our M&E has shared with all of us. If you're able to fill that in, we'll be able to also just send you some websites that we feel are helpful, just to help you find certain opportunities for trainings, for conferences, for workshops, and things like that, and just like volunteer experience that you can sort of leverage on. I cannot say it's in black and white and that these are the opportunities that are here and these are the opportunities that are here. Opportunities vary. They definitely vary, just like organizations vary in their line of work, in their expertise, in their thematic areas. So you need to find, first of all, what is it that you're passionate about? If you're passionate about young people, Google organizations around you. It could be in Lusaka, it could be on the Copper Belt, it could be in Eastern Province, it could be in Southern Province, Muchinga Province, wherever you are. Google organizations that are near you, find out what they're doing, and then find ways in which you can, you know, sometimes it's as easy as just walking into an organization, picking up a brochure and more about what they're doing, going to their website. We, for example, have, if you go to our website, you can actually sign up for our newsletter. And that particular newsletter will have various opportunities. It will have various activities that we've done and any upcoming event. So you need to stay updated. You need to stay on top of things. Read as much as possible. You know, subscribe to different pages, different websites, and all those other things, because that's where you get the opportunities and that's where the information is. I know a lot of young people will say some of these things, and some opportunities come, like I said, not because you found it on the internet, but because you did something. You volunteered somewhere before and they remembered, oh, there was Michelle. She wrote minutes for us that other day, or she rapporteured the meeting for us the other day, and stuff like that. So some opportunities will come because of something that you already did, or because of a reference that someone made, and they say, okay, we're looking for these young people oh yeah, I know a few young people. You can call ABCD. They're really good at what they do, and they're always giving their time, and they're always doing ABCD. And so sometimes opportunities come through that particular way. I know I received a particular opportunity that literally came 2 years after an event took place. And I didn't believe it, because when that particular event happened, someone wrote an article about it, and I was there being my bubbly self, talking about it, talking about how we can do this and how we can change the world as young people. And she was listening, and she wrote something about it. I completely forgot about it. 2 years later, I'm getting an email saying, we were reading this article and we liked what you said about this. Would you like to lecture, around this particular topic? And I'm like, wait, what? At first, I thought it was a prank, but things happen that way. And that's why if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your abilities, because you do not know who's watching. You don't know who's listening. And that's why I'm always telling young people to be very careful and very deliberate about their social media and all those other things. I remember one time we were laughing with Chewe, and he was telling me about how we overlook certain sites like LinkedIn. Is your LinkedIn up to date, for starters? When was the last time you checked it? Have you updated what you're doing, the causes that you're supporting, and all those other things? So you need to be ready. You need to stay up to date. You need to prepare yourself for some of these opportunities. Go to your LinkedIn, revamp it. If it's not revamped, please revamp it. Make sure you have a latest photo of yourself. Get that good lighting, stand in the sun, do what you have to do, but be up to date. Do we have more questions? Yes, please go ahead.
And just be up to date with information on what's trending, especially in the sector. So like right now we have COVID. How can you be of help to NGOs? How can you assist? How can you bring on those creative ideas to the table to an NGO and how they can do their programming? So we should be up to date with information and what is trending on the market. Yeah, so that was my question. Over to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Mambepa. Yes, that is very, very important. We need to read up, guys. Remember, I was emphasizing, if you're going somewhere, even if you're invited here at Papa Rose and we're telling you, okay, you're coming to this meeting and we're discussing family planning, take some time before you come for the meeting. Read about family planning. Don't go into the meeting blank and say, because I'm going to learn about family planning, so I should go in totally blank. No, try to, sort of impart some of that knowledge on yourself. Read, understand. Where you're not clear, you even say, I was actually reading about these commitments that are being made. Can you explain further? And people will look at you and, what commitments is this person talking about? And you would have already known what you were saying, because you read about it, even if it wasn't clear, but you just look like, you know what you're saying. And even the person that is talking to you will definitely have that, like, that confidence to say, this person is here, they want to learn, and they have an idea. Even if the idea is not very clear or it's not very polished, you have an idea. And that's the most important thing. Because sometimes, like Mabepa was saying, we have COVID now. Have you read about COVID? Have you read about, how it is spread, or how you can prevent it, and all those other things? If someone just walked up to you today with a camera and said, oh, we're shooting something, and we're giving whoever is going to contribute to this video so much money, or whatever it is, or we're going to shoot you and put you on TV, at least look like you know what you're saying. Even just an idea helps. So we need to stay ready, we need to stay prepared, we need to be very well read. Read as much as possible. I was one of those people who I never used to like to read a lot. And then I had to read a lot. Like it was a must, because you have to stay updated. What's happening? What's trending? What can we do? so that even when you're discussing some of these things with people, you know what you're saying, and you know where you are going to sort of, find your opportunity to get into a particular project or a program or whatever it is that you're trying to, do. So we need to stay updated as much as possible. And one thing people will never tell you about volunteering, just have fun. Have fun with it. Don't be so hard on yourself and say, oh, I'm volunteering for this particular cause, and you just want to be rigid. Have fun, meet people, have fun, learn, just do as much as you can, as much as possible. That's what I can tell you.
Michelle, we've
Michelle,
got
can
some
I add on something that I just remembered?
Sorry, Mambepa, before you come in, share what you were saying. There's a hand.
Yeah, there's some hands from
Okay.
Mutinta and Dr. Chintu.
Okay. Mtinta, you can go first, and then Dr. Chintu after.
Okay, thank you very much. I've really learned a lot, and I've heard about the benefits that volunteering comes with. I really wanted to find out what are some of the challenges that volunteers face. Thank you.
Thank you, Mtinta. Dr. Chintu, you can come in, and then I'll answer Mtinta after.
Sure. I just wanted to add that I think it's important, particularly in our country, that opportunities will be there, as you said, Michelle, and it's important to look out for opportunities. However, we also have to flip the coin and figure out how can young people create those opportunities for themselves. Because even as those opportunities are there and they're advertised, it's extremely competitive. So how can you create these opportunities for yourself? I like the idea that you mentioned that, you must look at things that are trending. There's some very easy lifts that might seem like very difficult to do. But for instance, because I'm a doctor, if you walked into Department of Pediatrics, which is where I work, and say, I want to volunteer and do this, because at this particular time, you have the time to do it. Believe you me, that will certainly translate into something for you. So instead of sitting back and saying, I'm waiting for copper rows, there are no opportunities, we need to change our mindset as young Zambians. Well, I'm not young, I'm definitely not a youth, but we need to just change our mindset across the board and stop waiting for handouts and start creating those opportunities for ourselves. And there's a huge difference when you're interviewing, panelists coming in, for those who are waiting for handouts and those who are creative, because organizations want creative young people who, when they join the organization, will be thinking forward and bringing these ideas to the table. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you also was bring your A game, and you said have fun. Both those two things are very, very important. It doesn't mean that in having fun, you dilute the quality of your work as a volunteer, because as you said, everybody is looking. When the executive director walks in the passageway and you volunteered as a receptionist and you see something and you tell the executive director, oh, you will not be forgotten. So those are just my 2 points, and I'm dropping off right now and just saying this is a very important session, and I've enjoyed it. Even at this stage of my career, just yesterday, I was volunteering to be a board member on a global, in a global organization as a volunteer. I'm not going to get paid for it, but I'm still volunteering even at this stage in my career. So it's important to start now and to keep that going. And this has been a great session. I wish everybody, the best wishes as they progress in their careers. And young people, you're the future. Copper Rose, keep it going. These sessions are important. And thank you for organizing this. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chintu. All right. Thank you so much. That was very, very helpful. A lot of people are agreeing in the chat. I can see. Thank you so much, Doctor. We really appreciate it. So, Mutinta, you were talking about some of the challenges. So, some of the challenges for me, really, I think we can categorize them in two ways. So, for you as a volunteer, I think sometimes there's like this lack of first of all, sometimes I feel like you feel undervalued, you feel like if I say something they'll not take it seriously because I'm just a volunteer. We put so much pressure on ourselves to feel undervalued. And again, this is, like I said, it's both ways. Sometimes we feel undervalued and sometimes people undervalue us, right? So people are different. Everywhere we go, we'll find very different people, different organizations. People have different characteristics, different mannerisms, and all that. So sometimes people will not give you the ear that you want them to give you because they just feel like, she's just a volunteer. What does she have to say? You know what I mean? And there are people like that. Unfortunately, we can't run away from the world. There are always going to be people like that, but do not feel discouraged. Never feel discouraged. If someone makes you feel that type of way, just never feel discouraged. There'll always be people that will also fear you because they're like, this volunteer has ideas, and they're just like, if my boss hears these ideas, so it's both ways. They'll make you feel less of yourself because they know that you have the ideas. And if these ideas are coming from a volunteer, it just makes them feel some type of way. But also I feel like we were talking about opportunities. I think a lot of us young people have not really gotten we haven't gotten the hand of just where we can find some of these opportunities, where we can get some of this information. And it becomes stressful also sometimes because you feel like, how come these people are always getting these opportunities and we're never getting any opportunities? So you kind of feel like demoralized. Sometimes I feel there's like burnout, like you overwork yourself and you're feeling like, I'm doing all this work and then at the end of the day I'm not getting anything. You feel really burnt out. You feel tired. You feel like you've been overworked for nothing. You feel exhausted. I think there are also like very few resources for volunteers. We don't have a lot of places where we can go and find some of this information. And when we do find this information, guys, please, I'm always telling people, share opportunities. Don't be afraid to share opportunities. Like sometimes I might not be good at something, but I know that my paper is good at this. And I see an opportunity, but I just want to keep it to myself because I just want to keep it to myself. No, be realistic sometimes. If you know that climate change is not my niche. It's not something that I'm really good at, but it's something that Simasiku will be good at. Share that opportunity with him. So let's be our sisters and brothers keepers. Let's share the opportunities because sometimes you don't know. In sharing an opportunity, you don't know who you're helping, and that person might in turn surprise you someday. So let's share the opportunities. And I believe that the more doors we open for other people, the more doors will open for us. So don't be that person that holds on to information and feels like if I share this information, my paper will shine and I would just be here, I'll be stagnant. Don't be like that. Share the opportunities as much as possible. If you see a training that is free, they're calling on young people to do ABCD, share those opportunities. Apply for the opportunities that you're applying for, but share. There's no harm. We are all meant to shine differently in our own light, in our own way. We're all unique for a purpose. So let's not be afraid to share.
Yes. Michelle,
Yes.
there's a hand from one of our volunteers.
Okay, sure.
That's Mwape. Yeah.
Mwape?
Yes.
Hi
Martha, please
guys,
go ahead.
good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So I've been plugged in since the time it started, and I can say I've learned so much. Yeah, so I'm going to begin with the question: what are some of the challenges volunteers face? So personally, one of the challenges that I've faced since I started volunteering. By the way, I also started volunteering when I was 15 in grade 11, and I can tell you, I've learned so much. I've been exposed. So one of the challenges is young people. We are always in transit. We're always in the move. For example, I started volunteering way back in Kitwe when I was in grade 11. So as we are growing, we tend to move from one place to the other. So you realize for example, when I moved from Lusaka and I go to the Copper Belt, there may not be an opportunity for me to volunteer. The organization may not be there. So at that point, the zeal kind of dies. So that is really a challenge. But if you're really passionate about it, I think one way or the other, an opportunity to volunteer is going to come up. Yeah, I can tell you this from experience. Other districts, provinces do not have as much organizations as Lusaka has. It's difficult to volunteer. But I think for those provinces and districts, what you can do is attach yourself to a clinic, a youth-friendly center. You can start from there. Yeah, I remember the time I was in Ndola, there was no organization to volunteer with, but since I've done counseling, I got myself attached to Tope Urban Clinic, and that was one way for me to volunteer. Yeah, and then for other things that we have discussed, I would like to echo more on consistency. Guys, consistency makes you reliable. When you're consistent, they'll pick on you. They'll be like, oh, this person is always here. This person is consistent. This person will not let you down. And at the end of the day, it's not just volunteering and you're just doing it just because of doing it. You have to put in your A game. You're learning, but at the same time, people have to see that this person has what it takes. This person is bright, not bright per se, but you have to put in the hard work. You have to show that you have what it takes to put you out there. Then another way that you can, excuse me, another way that you can link yourself to other organizations is through volunteering with one organization. I can tell you this for sure. I've been linked to other organizations because I volunteered with one organization. It started with one organization. The people from that organization told the other guys to say, okay, we have this person, you can work with her. So it starts with one organization and your network grows from there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Wape. Thank you. That was really helpful. And I totally agree. Sometimes, like I remember I was talking about referencing. So sometimes people will refer you to, so sometimes people will refer you um, through someone else, or they'll call upon you through someone else because you did work with another group or another organization or another institution. And so when you're doing the work that you're doing, despite it being voluntary work, bring your A game, like Martha said. Yeah. Any other comments, Joey? Any other raised hands?
So people are just highlighting on the lack of finances when it comes to volunteering, and lack of consistency, I would say. But there's something that here is it in Tambe Mwanza has reiterated what Mwape said. Even without finances, what you really need to have is passion. That's one thing I've noticed. And I work with the volunteers. Actually, I'm the main person at Copperos who really works with the volunteers. And one thing I've noticed is that it's not about money, but it's about the passion. And passion is what's going to make people call you back. That's one thing I can say. So it's all about the passion that you put in when you're going to do what you're doing. And also, please volunteer towards something that you have interest in if you want to be called back. So that's one thing that people really need to pay attention to. Yeah. So those are some of the comments that are in the chat box.
Thanks, Chewe. I'll definitely agree with you on the passion aspect and also attitude. I feel like, having this positive attitude also sort of helped people want to work with you over and over and over again. If we call upon you today and you're just complaining from sunrise to sunset, we call upon you tomorrow, it's the same thing. Like, even the people that want to involve you in some of these things will just be like, with some volunteers, and we went somewhere, we overlooked the time, we went past the time that was said on the agenda, and we were not prepared, and everyone had such a positive attitude. They're just like, no, you know what, we understand these things happen. We also didn't anticipate that this would happen. And so sometimes someone just telling you that, oh, it's okay, Michelle, don't panic. Sure, don't panic, we understand. And when you guys are able to, you give us, transport refunds or whatever it is, refreshments and whatnot. And so sometimes it's just the attitude. It's always important for us to have a good attitude, always wear your smile, be a person that people can work with. You can be tough at your job, you can do what you have to do, but be approachable, be a person that, I can just say, oh, hey, are we okay? Yeah, so be an approachable person, and just be teachable. Be open to being taught. Be open to receiving knowledge, receiving information, receiving criticism as well is very important. You need to be mindful of the fact that it's not everything that you will do that will be 100%. It's not everything that we do, even today in our line of work, that is 100% perfect. But we have to be people that are able to be corrected. We're people that are able to be taught. And people like that. If you are an open-minded person, you're a person that people can easily speak to. And they know that if I correct Michelle, she will not frown and she will not block me or not speak to me for 1 week plus, so be that person that is very open to learning and criticism and growth and all those other things. Yeah. So for me, guys, I think this is all I had. I've seen a comment, I think is it from Mary? Another benefit is that volunteering improves our skill and career, not just updating our CV, but our skills too. Yeah, I totally agree. So your CV will definitely look better, when you have that volunteer experience. But also sometimes, it gives you, I think, a step ahead or a step further than someone else. And having a lot of patience also is very important. Yeah. So I will hand over to Chewe to run us through our next steps, and then we can close. Thank you all so much for your contributions and your comments. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Wow, what a session. I've learned so much, and I just feel like becoming a volunteer right now. I've really been inspired. Like, you don't know how much I've been inspired. I don't know about you guys, but I have been inspired so much with the stories that are coming from Michelle, Dr. Chintu, Mambepa, Mwape. Great stories that have really inspired me to think of opportunities that I can volunteer in also whilst I'm doing my job. So I think I cannot limit myself. I can also volunteer whilst working for corporates. Wow, what a session that we've had. So what I would just like to say is that if you're in grade 12, if you're done with campus, please find your way to a place that can give you an opportunity to volunteer. Do not limit yourself, because I've seen people study pharmacy just because of spending time at the clinic. So like what Mwape said, go to a friendly space, go to an organization, send emails to organizations. Find ways of getting those emails and be able to just say, I would like to be a volunteer. You don't know when your lucky day will come and you'll be able to catch that voluntary work that you'd like to get and get that experience. Because I, for one, I can tell you on the CVs, they want to see the experience and not what you started. So yeah, so this has really been a great session. So I have been sending a link in the chat. I bet everyone has been seeing it. Please fill in that link so that we can be able to know what we can offer to you when it comes to career development, because this is an initiative that we are bringing back to you, the youth, so that you can be able to learn different things. So like I said, we have done CV designing, we have done cover letter sessions, so we're still coming up with more activities when it comes to career development. So what we want is that you can be able to fill in the form and recommend what are some of the things that you like to learn, things that will be able to improve your career development. I have seen a hand from Mwape. Mwape, you wanted to say something?
Oh, yes, Chair. Well, there's a question in the chat box. I don't know if you've just missed it. So it says, what makes you as a volunteer work effectively? Is it the passion you have and the exposure you get? Wow. I think to begin with, it is the passion. Yes. I mean, passion is a driving force for you to work. Sorry about that. Passion is a driving force for you to work effectively. I think it's not even the exposure. You know, when you're passionate about something, it's not even work. Volunteer work is so much fun, lack of a better term, such that even if you're not getting paid, you feel like you are getting something out of it. It's so fulfilling, such that you work to the best of your ability. At the end of the day, it's not even about the money. So there's passion to it. And exposure is just like a cherry on top of the cake. I mean, you work hard so that you get more opportunities, but really don't go into volunteer work because you want to get something out of it, because you want to travel, because you want to be linked to the UN. That you feel like volunteering is delaying your growth. Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Yeah, that's nice feedback from Mope. So yeah, so you need to have the passion for you to be able to do voluntary work, because you won't be getting paid. Some get to get some transport refund here and there, get refreshments, but all in all, have it in your mind what you're trying to build. You're trying to develop yourself. You're trying to get familiar with the type of skills that you like to further your skills in. So always have the passion. So I think we have come to the end of our session today, but I just want to reiterate, please fill in the form, the link that I've sent in the chat, so that we can be able to better our programming. And also make sure that you fill in at every point, because we want to really be able to evaluate how our facilitator was, so that next time we can know how to better our program. So I'd like to thank you all for being part of this meeting. I really thank you all, and please keep safe. You know, there's COVID out there. Just be safe, and please make sure that you get your mask up. And from us corporals, we say thank you and have a good day.
Bane. Getting volunteers, it's very important.